Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, we're counting down our top 10 Peter Criss songs from either Kiss or any of his solo albums. This is the third episode in a series of 4 where we'll count down our top 10 songs from each of the original Kiss members. This is a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. And if you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Now, without further ado, let's jump in and let's get started with our top 10 Peter Criss songs. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I have with me 2 guests. I have with me today the LaRussa brothers. How you guys doing today, Pete and Vin?
Good.
What's up, Mike? Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pete. Yeah, you were on like 3 years ago, I think it was at this point, right, Pete?
Yes, I was bald. I had no hair on my head and my face, and I had a different set of goggles on my face. So, yeah, a lot has changed since I was last on the show. Same apartment.
May have had the same Ramon shirt though.
I definitely had this shirt, but I remember I was wearing a Rock Strikes 10 shirt on that first show.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I think we did our top 10 concerts, if I remember right. And
Top 10 of favorite concerts that we
that's right. Yeah, and you had, I think, an interesting list. There was definitely some concerts on that list that I had never seen those bands before and probably still haven't seen the bands. But this time we're going to stick in our lanes where we're all Kiss fans and you know, I'll know everything that you're talking about this time. And
Sounds good.
And during that time, I know you started your own podcast. I think it's a little bit hiatus right now, right? But what was the name of the podcast?
Yes, that's correct. I do have a podcast. It's called the I Am Vinyl Podcast, and it's hosted by myself and Joey. Yeah, right now it is on hiatus. I was promoted at my job, and once that job started to ask a little more of my time, and I do work from home, it just became a thing. And then trying to line up scheduling with Joey to do some shows, we just haven't been able to line up as much as we would have liked to this year. So yeah, right now the show is kind of dormant, but I do hope to bring it back at some point soon before the end of this year. I mean, it's only a few months left, but right now I'm kind of thinking, you know, maybe we may pull out a few more episodes before the end of the year, but I can't be too sure. So we have 42 episodes in the queue, and they're very long. It could definitely take you around 3 weeks to listen to all of them. So we definitely have plenty of content. So I do encourage anybody listening to the show, if you want to check out the I Am Vinyl podcast, please do so. I have a YouTube channel, Pete LaRussa 28. We have some video episodes up. Not every episode of the show, but we did start doing video episodes around a year and a half ago. So we have a bunch of Kiss roundtables up on the YouTube channel. So you Kiss fans want to check out some of the roundtables we've done. So far, we've done roundtables up to Creatures of the Night, and my brother's actually participated in a few of them. So
Yeah,
check us out.
Wait, hold on. You think that's a selling point by mentioning that?
fair point. Fair point.
People are like, oh, I'm going to check that out. Oh, Ben's on. Never mind. Forget it.
Yeah. Thanks, I appreciate that.
No problem. You know, I only invite you on, Vin, because I figure I don't want too many people to watch. I don't want to get too big. So I said, if I bring Vin in, you know, it keeps the viewership down. You know?
I understand. You know.
The last plug, just check us out on cnjradio.com. And we're also available to listen to currently on Spotify and Apple Music, as long as they don't pull our show down, because we obviously do play some music on the show off of my vinyl collection back there. So
well, it looks like you have what, like three or four albums behind you, right?
3 or 4.
Look, so who has more vinyl, you or your brother?
I think he does.
Really?
right? Vin? You probably have more than I do now.
Yeah, but I think in the last couple of years, though, he's continued to purchase a lot more than I have. Especially, I think new vinyl. I kind of as I told you, I've calmed that down a lot, and you just kind of run out of space. And then the amount of records that I have not listened to that are in the queue are close to 200. So you get to a point where let me just pause for a little while and kind of try to catch up to just the listening.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, we were talking yesterday while I was with you, and I was asking my brother about, because he had sent me a video from the latest live from the soundboard, and remember you had asked, I think you had asked me, Mike, what was his favorite, and that's why I was pinging you, or I say pinging, that's like a work term. I hate using that word. And asking him about it. And I haven't even listened to, I think, the last two yet. So,
well, it's not like you were sitting in the car yesterday driving anywhere, so that you could have listened.
You were not very kind.
No, when you what were you playing, like Gilligan's Island on audio version instead?
He was playing the fucking. I'm sorry. No, he was playing the Buck Naked Brunn discography. Like if I was in the car.
Well, that would be excusable then.
I'll just tell you right now. Like I'm taking a shower this morning. I'm like, I'm gonna be on this fucking show today. I just dropped the F-bomb again.
It's okay.
I'm gonna be on this show again. And what song comes into my head? Did you ever fall?
Oh, that's great. That's great.
We were just I was just trying to negotiate, because I've told him he's been scared, man, for years. Remember when you would said we could have played like L'Amour's or something? He's like, I'm too afraid.
That could have conceivably happened.
Yeah, that would have been.
I would have played drums. I would have gladly played drums or bass or something. I would have made that happen.
Yes, and so. People who are watching and don't know what we're listening and don't know what we're talking about. Vin and I recorded 12 songs. Vin, we counted.
Why are you even wearing the shirt?
That's right. Yeah.
Don Knotts is
a punk rocker. That's right.
Yeah.
So and it was
lots of Easter eggs going on here.
I like that. That's good, Pete. But a lot of people obviously don't know. But Vin and I recorded. What was it? 12 songs, Vin, between 1986 or 7 and 1991. This was not meant to be necessarily serious. 95 was it that low? Okay, 94, so like over that 10-year period, let's just say. And they were more like punk rock type things, although there was other things that were far from punk rock, and it was never meant to be good, right? So you both record a lot of good material. Pete, I've seen your stuff online. Vin, obviously, I've heard your stuff as well, and your stuff is meant to be good. What Vin and I did was not meant to be good, but it's classic. And Vin's been begging me to release this stuff for decades.
I think you guys should. Yeah. I think my brother should try to, remix and remaster, do whatever.
That's exactly what we were talking about, Pete, before you joined us.
Yeah, put those things up on Spotify. I did a record with my friend, and it's basically half serious, half joking. I put it up on Spotify because I was just like, I'm proud of this. I know, like, it's not like supposed to be taken. It's like you guys,
right?
The vocalist couldn't really sing, but you just got to kick. You got
like you said, it's like me.
You got to kick out of his vocals, and he's screaming like a maniac in parts and things like that. It's called the Cookies and Milk. My brother was
every day.
My brother was a big part of the first demo. He recorded our first demo, and then we recorded an album in 2000, and it's called Skydiving Off Our Beds. Check it out on Spotify. It's fun.
Okay, nice.
It's great.
You guys should do the same thing. I'm telling you. I just think it's overdue.
I told Vin it might be time, and then maybe we'll put out the CD, I'll say this year, and then the deluxe edition with all the video footage next year.
Yeah, we got a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Don Knotts as a punk rocker has to be heard by the world.
I think so. Balf Up Along.
Parents,
1979.
1979.
This stuff is classic, but we're far, far way off of talking Peter Criss.
People are like, when are you going to get to this goddamn list?
Exactly.
People are so confused right now.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get the three of us together.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so, let's kind of veer back into now what we're here for, right? And that is to talk about our own individual Peter Criss top 10 list. So prior to this, I released the top 10 list for Paul Stanley songs, then Gene Simmons songs, and now we're going to do Peter Criss, and then coming soon will be an Ace Frehley list. And, when we were starting to talk about this, I said to Vin, hey, Vin, I'd love to get your brother on, talk about the Peter Criss songs. The three of us growing up always spoke about Peter Criss. And Vin, I know you dressed as Peter Criss one year for Halloween. I've shown the picture on the episode before. You've shown the picture on the episode before. I dressed as Peter Criss one year for Halloween. And Pete, I know you've played in Kiss tribute bands. Beforehand, you were saying you've never actually dressed as Peter Criss, but you did dress as Eric Carr, right? You play drums. So I figured, you know what? Who better to have on to talk Peter Criss than Peter LaRussa?
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the fact my name is Pete.
Yeah. And your name is Pete. That's I never even made that connection, right? And your name is Pete, so it had to be, right? So what we want to do is count down our own individual top 10 lists. We'll comment along the way on each of them. Pete, I think I'll let you go first, and I'll give you the floor. Start with number 10. Hold on. Okay. Before you start your list, I got to ask you another question. Sorry about that. Obviously, Peter Criss had put out the solo albums in the early 80s, and then he did his Criss thing in the mid 90s. Sneak preview there. Vincent thinks that's chip.
I was going to say silent, but yeah, go ahead.
Did you buy any of those albums? Like growing up as a kid, did you have any of those albums?
Well, for one thing, I wasn't making a lot of money at that point. Right. I remember when the Criss EP came out, I remember my brother was able to get it, and I was definitely kind of jealous because, I just, as a Kiss fan and someone who was like, it still is to a degree, a completist.
Right.
I would have liked to have had that CD, but at the time, I didn't really have like a high paying job. I think, when did that come out? 94?
94, I think. Yep.
Yeah. I was barely working at that point when that EP and then the album eventually came out. So like any money I was making was barely any just to survive for a week. So yeah, I wasn't.
Well, you're a few years younger than us, so just so that anybody watching or listening don't think that Pete was just sitting on the couch eating Doritos all day. He was a little bit younger than us. So.
Yeah, I was, working part time, but I was, like around 18 years old, making like minimum wage. So yeah, I wasn't able to buy it at that point. But in more recent years, when the Criss EP was released on green vinyl. Purple vinyl. I got the purple vinyl copy. I still haven't opened it yet, but
okay. All right, so it is in the collection, but just hasn't been listened to.
Yeah, it's like I wanted it for my collection, but I haven't not opened it on purpose. It's just like I haven't really thought to really want to listen to it. It was just good for the collection, and I'm eventually going to open and listen to it. But when you hear my list, I think it'll give a good idea as to how much I've actually heard that EP. So.
There you go. All right. Well, then on that note. The floor is yours, Pete. You can get started with your countdown.
Okay. All right. Well, first, so number 10.
I'm doomed. The LaRussa brothers are going to doom me. Go ahead, Pete.
So number 10, I'm going with Feel Like Letting Go from Out of Control.
Nice. I like that. Good choice right out of the gate. Pete's like, Vin's like, what song is that? I don't think I know that one.
Don't underestimate my Peter Criss listening prowess.
I'll say this, Pete. I'm so glad you have that on your list. That I think is one of his best vocals of all time. I love that vocal on that. Good, great choice right out of the gate.
Same here. I believe it closes the Out of Control album. So yeah, it's a great album closer too.
Yes.
So you want me to go right next to the next
one? Go right ahead. Go ahead.
And then number 9, it's another track that starts with the same word, Feel Like Heaven from Let Me Rock You.
I'm liking this list already. Oh man, this is good.
Written by Gene Simmons, of course.
Yep. Nice.
One of the better rocking songs on Peter's post-Kiss solo albums.
Yep.
Number 8.
Before you go to number 8, which of those 2 solo albums did you like better from the 80s? Out of Control, or am I going to give away your list by answering this question?
Not really. No, I would say Let Me Rock You is the better of the 2.
Interesting. I think I like Out of Control better, but they're both good to me. They're both very good. Vin, when was the last time you listened to either one of those? 1982? 1983. Okay, very good.
No. In the last maybe bunch of years when I think I managed to acquire them, the original pressings. Once I got the original pressings, I didn't have them when I was younger, both those records. I remember when you had Out of Control.
Yep.
And I just was so confused by the album coming. Like, I just thought
worst album cover of all time. Absolutely. All right, Pete, go ahead.
So, well, actually, before I get to number 8, the reason I have original copies is because of Mike right here. Because I
really
bought. You remember a few years ago I bought copies off of you.
I didn't remember that. No.
So there's where.
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that now.
Yeah,
sorry.
I picked them up. You met me. I was rehearsing in
Yes.
Long Island, and you met up
Yes.
with me at the studio, and I picked them up from you right then and there.
I do remember that. Now I'm like, I didn't sell my original copies, but I had scored
No,
some
you
other
had other
originals.
ones.
Right.
You had some other ones. And then
Okay.
Vin, you didn't get those newer ones from the Rockologists, those colored
No,
ones?
but because I had I thought about it, but I had the originals. If I didn't have those, I probably, because I have the original Out of Control, Let Me Rock You, and Criss.
Yeah.
Although I think I'm missing. No, do I have the poster? Because it came with a poster, right? The Criss came with a poster.
The
original
the
ones?
picture disc one did. I think.
Yeah. I don't think mine had the poster, but maybe I got another one. I think I have two of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you have One for All. I don't have that one.
Yeah, that I have too.
Yeah.
That one I pulled a Pete LaRusso on that one. I haven't opened that one up.
One for all garbage pails.
Yeah. I'm not really. Yeah, I'm definitely not dying to get that one. So none of that's on this list.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. I don't think it's going to be on any of our lists.
Yeah.
Should I proceed with?
Yes, you should. Yes.
Okay. All right. So number 8 is Tears, also from Let Me Rock You. And I was listening to my list a little while ago before we recorded, and then I was just looking up some things. And what I want to say about Tears and the fact that Let Me Rock You wasn't released here in the States is I think Peter would have at least had somewhat of a fighting chance for Tears to be a moderate hit if it was released in the US. Because then you go and look and you see John Waite hit number 37 on Billboard like in 1984. So a couple of years later.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think Peter has a great version of the song. I love the song. I think it's great. So
great.
Another one I'm very happy to hear on your list because I know it won't be on your brother's. So I'm happy to hear it's on yours.
And of course, got to mention written by
a lot of ranking going on.
Well, I have to, but in fairness, right? And if people watch back the other episodes, you don't listen to anything post 1978. So anyway, Pete, go ahead. You were going to mention who it was written by, which we all know it.
Yeah. Most Kiss fans might know that song Tears was written by Vinnie Vincent and Adam Mitchell. So, that Kiss connection once again, right there, just like Feel Like Heaven with Gene Simmons writing that one. So number 7, now we start to get into Peter's, years actually with Kiss. So number 7 is Easy Thing from the 78 solo album. Peter's strong points are obviously ballads. That was pretty well established, obviously, with Beth becoming such a huge hit. And, it showcased him as someone who's going to probably be singing a lot of those type of songs. So
that's a sleeper to me on that album. I love that song.
Yeah. Yeah. I give a shout out to Frank Vetterami on that one, because many years ago he was like, "Yeah, you ever listen to this song Easy Thing? It's fucking great." And I was just like, I kind of ignored that one, but he got it in my head, and I started like listening to it more, and the orchestral stuff in the background, and Peter's vocal is for a lot of things that people knock Peter's vocals, and we make the joke about Peter being tone deaf, and other producers have said he's tone deaf. I think he does a really, really excellent vocal on Easy Thing. And then as my number 7, and then piggybacking off that sentiment, number 6, I Can't Stop the Rain from the 78 solo album.
Your list might end up being my favorite, even more than mine. It's a great list of songs.
That's the best Peter Criss ballad in my view.
Yep.
That he's recorded was I Can't Stop the Rain. As much as again, we love Beth. Of course we love that song. Right. But we've heard it ad nauseum. Are we really going to have to include it on this list? Everybody knows Beth is a great song.
Perhaps some will, some won't. Who knows?
I'm just saying from myself, I question it, but
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Having said that, my number 6 again, I Can't Stop the Rain from the 78 solo album. Then we move to number 5, and we're still sticking with the 78 solo album. Mm-hmm. And I have to drop this song. And, my brother and I have had a lot of fun with it over the years, making kind of joking around about it and, the nature of the song. But, as a kid, I listened to it a ton when I would listen to the 78 solo album. And then just, as I got older, I would, I just think it's a great song. And I'm kind of surprised that it didn't maybe do a little bit more considering when it was released. So my number 5 is You Matter to Me from the 78 solo album.
Yep. That's a great song also.
I think it's out of the songs on his 78 solo album that aren't, full-fledged ballads. I honestly think that one's the best. Others might disagree and say, Hooked on Rock and Roll because they like the Vaccinated by a Victrola Needle lyric and things like that. But it's a cool song. But I like You Matter to Me better. It's got that swing, that disco feel, like a,
Hey,
you know,
you get a
it's a great
performance
hook.
with us also. I agree. I fully agree.
I think if somebody else had recorded that song, like think about like Hall & Oates, if they were to record that song, that would have been a freaking huge hit. Probably.
I know somebody else said, well, who was it? Was it
with like it's
John
Temptation.
John Travolta's brother, I think, recorded You Mad at Me? I don't remember. Somebody else did record it, but it was not, it wasn't like a big name artist or whatever.
It's Basil Fomine.
Yeah, I found out years later, Basil Fomine.
Basil Fomine. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Little Jack Little. The Honeymooners references.
Sorry, that one went over my head. It's been a few years since I've seen
He's right though. I remember seeing something too that somebody else recorded that song and was like, oh shit, really?
Right. But it wasn't no Hall & Oates or anybody like that.
No, it wasn't anybody like established. So I truly believe like if somebody else had recorded that song and it was promoted, that could have been a hit for somebody. It just, it wasn't a hit for Peter, but again, there's like Tears. Could have been a hit for somebody else.
Yep.
So moving on, my number 4 is Hard Luck Woman from Rock and Roll Over.
Mm-hmm.
What else can you say? Paul Stanley wrote it, but it was obviously more appropriate for Peter to sing it. But I think Paul Stanley proved on the Unplugged performance that isn't part of the official release that he could have sung it, and it probably would have also been a moderate hit for Kiss.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Now my number 3 is Strange Ways from Hotter Than Hell. Mm-hmm. And I say this because it is obviously one of Peter's stronger tracks when it comes to the more rocking songs that he's been a part of vocally. And, I just also think it's one of the rare instances where you get this Peter vocal where he's like, well, it's a strange way. He's using that delivery instead of like, screaming at the top of his lungs and, razor blades in his throat. So you get this like loungy Peter.
Loungy Peter. I like that.
Yeah. And now going to my number 2 is going to be Dirty Livin' from Dynasty. Now I say specifically the extended version of Dirty Livin', the one that that was released overseas. Mm-hmm. Obviously the one from Dynasty too, but I typically listen to the extended version more these days.
Interesting. I probably haven't listened to that in about 20 years. Now, do you listen to the extended version because you get up in your house and you boogie and you dance?
Well, yeah, of course.
Okay. I like that. You're right on it. Of course.
Don't I look like I'm boogieing all the time?
Absolutely. Oh, that's great.
But now, yeah, even just recently, like I finally ordered the vinyl from, I don't know, I forget which country it's from, but I ordered the vinyl version of Dirty Livin' with the extended mix so I could actually have a physical copy.
Nice.
The digital version for so many years. So yeah, every once in a while I'll throw that on my turntable and I'll boogie it up in here and drive the neighbors crazy.
Awesome. So extended version, Dirty Livin' or I Was Made for Loving You. Which one do you listen to more?
Oh, Dirty Livin' for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, again, because I Was Made for Loving You. You've heard it so many times ad nauseum. I do listen to Dirty Livin' more in terms of the extended mix when comparing the two, which I own both physical copies of those two.
Of course you do. I would expect nothing less. All right, go ahead. And Pete's number 1 song is
no drum roll.
Number 1. I think this is going to be obvious to a lot of people. It's Black Diamond from the debut.
Okay, nice. Yep. There's
no other song that that Peter sang in terms of the the rocking Kiss songs is better than Black Diamond. You're not going to convince me. You're not going to convince me that Getaway is better or Mainline or friggin' Hooligan. No, it's Black Diamond. So with that, my list is done.
There you go. All right. Well, Pete, you know what? I was worried before this episode that you and your brother were going to have carbon copy lists, and I can pretty much guarantee, not knowing what your brother's going to say, that there's no way there's going to be carbon copy lists there, because I love that you included the first half of your list was all stuff from his solo albums, but be it 78, 80, or 82. And I'm sitting there thinking, does Pete not realize he can include Kiss songs? Like literally, that's what I started thinking. I'm like,
no, and I'll tell you too, like it was sort of deliberate, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, what have you listened to, more? Right. It's obviously the Kiss material.
Right.
And the 78 solo album, because it's part of the Kiss discography. And I definitely don't listen to his solo albums outside of Kiss as much as I actually listen to him in Kiss.
Sure.
So yeah, the list is obviously first 6 songs are from his solo albums, and then
Yep.
the last 4 songs are from when he was with Kiss. So yeah,
Well done. Love it, Pete.
thank
All
you.
right, Vin, go ahead. The floor is yours now.
Be nice. Be nice.
Well, I'm gonna always be nice. Look, there's really not any bad choices that you can make. We said beforehand, Vin, that this one's a little bit easier in the sense that there's not as much material to choose from Peter. But at the same time, when I was putting together my list, I'm like, there's not as much material, but the material that's there to me is pretty strong. So putting All for One to the side, the rest of the stuff I actually like, and I actually ended up with a list of about 15 to 18 songs that was under consideration. And I'll talk about when I do my list, the songs that just missed the cut for me. And I don't know, Pete, when you did your list, you had your 10 songs. Did you have any other songs? Don't mention them yet, right? Let's wait until the end. But did you have other songs that just missed the cut for you?
I did.
All right, awesome. So we'll talk about those at the end. So go ahead, Vin. The floor is yours. Let's hear you.
Thank you, Master Brunn.
Yes, of course. Get that right, Master Brunn.
Yeah, don't get crazy. So yeah, of course, as I've said in other episodes, I have the others like tugging and like let me in, the ones I had to leave off the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It wasn't as hard as obviously the Paul Stanley one. I think is going to be the hardest one. And, I haven't done the Ace Frehley one yet. I noticed in an upcoming episode. But at number 10, one of your top, one of my top favorite vocals that you would imitate anybody doing a vocal, and that's Mainline at number 10.
Yep.
Kind of, again, I kind of think that one flies under the radar a bit.
Agreed.
I don't know. You would know. You're Master Brunn. Has that ever been performed live at all? I know not with Kiss, obviously, but has Peter ever sung that live?
I don't think Peter's ever sung it.
Yeah, 93, 94, whenever he was doing his, or Balls of Fire, or Great Balls of Fire, or my Balls Are on Fire, or any of those. No,
none that I'm aware. Not that I can recall off the top of my head. I know when I saw Peter at a convention in like 92 or 94, something like that, somebody asked him, what one song would you re-record if you could? And he said Mainline, that he thought he could sing it better at that time than he did in the 70s. So to my knowledge, that he's never sang. Kiss did do that on one year on the cruise, but obviously Eric Singer sang it. But I don't think Peter's ever sang that live now.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm definitely going to say this list is going to be a little. I mean, obviously Peter Criss, but being that the 78 solo album, as I've said on other previous episodes, it was the only solo album I owned as a kid. It was the only one I was allowed one. I asked for it, and this was the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to go through the story, although I will go through the story again very quickly. Christmas morning of 78, being down in the basement, putting together my Micronaut set, and having the Peter Criss solo album is something, I'll always remember hearing those songs for the first time. So at number 9, I have Don't Let Me Down, or Don't You Let Me Down is number 9.
Yep.
More recently, Pete did a live vocal of that too. I think it was to the record. I don't think it was just, to a track. I think he was singing over his original vocal. Yep. We saw him live with Sister's Doll recently. He did a couple of songs, and that was one that he did. I was thoroughly thawed when I thoroughly thawed. Yes. So again, it just brings back some great memories of my youth, listening to that record. And and then, him with the resurgence of him doing that live performance made me realize, this song may not be for all, but one for all, none for all, but certainly one of my favorites.
If that song wasn't on your list, I was going to call you a fraud. I knew you loved that song. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I ended up with Vincent's copy of that Peter Criss record probably a few years later.
Did you?
Ooh, is that where that went?
That's a fun fact. I did not know that.
Yeah, in my first record collection when I got the Fisher Price turntable. Yeah, that was part of my my hand-me-down collection. I got that Peter Criss record.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And at number 8 is Tears. So I picked that one.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Crap.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, that's Vincent. So this is the 3rd episode we're recording. I think that's Vincent's first selection post 1979.
Yeah.
Wow.
So glad you are behind.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Vin.
I was marinating that. I was marinated when you made that comment.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, was it
stunned?
Pete, wasn't that your number 8 too? Did you have that at number 8?
I think I think I did.
Yeah.
I closed the laptop, but I think I did.
I am stunned right now.
Yeah. Yep. So see, you think you know me, but you don't.
All right, there you go. Touche.
So, I mean, my brother's already commented on the song. I agree that certainly has, hit potential. I like it better than the John Waite version for sure.
Yep.
I think Peter's
Me too.
vocal's great. Just a little fun fact. I believe Steve Lukather played guitars on that. And which he played on basically every hit record, probably in the early 80s, especially. He's one of those big session guys. The production's great. And it should also be noted, I think I mentioned on a previous episode about Vinnie Poncia. I just think he's very underrated. Everybody obviously talks about Eddie Kramer and Bob Ezrin as great producers with Kiss, but I think the stuff he did for his 78 solo album, what he did with I know Dynasty and Unmasked, everybody says it's the disco of pop records, but I love those records, and I love the work that he's done or he did, and even a lot of, you could hear him, I think, in back doing the background vocals, and we've heard in the rehearsals or when they were doing the writing session. So again, props to Vinnie Poncia. I wish they would have worked with him again later on. I think he co-wrote on Hot in the Shade.
Yep.
Right. So that's all right. So that's number 8. At number 7.
Hold on. I think that actually your list did not include Tears originally, and you're like, I'm gonna friggin' stick it to Brunn once and for all. So number 8 used to be like Getaway, let's just say, on his list, and he's like, all right, I'm just gonna change that to Tears, and I'm gonna stick it to Brunn once and for all.
He actually had I Finally Found My Way, and that's
right.
Yeah. We know that one's not going to be on Brunn's list.
No. Well, if we do top 10 worst Kiss songs, that'll be on my list.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying when you did Gene, you wanted the best, you got the best, wasn't number 1?
It was in heavy consideration, but I decided to leave it off at the end.
Terrible.
Anyway,
terrible.
Yes, agreed.
Terrible.
Go ahead, Vin.
Terrible.
All
right.
I know.
Number 7, Dirty Living. Again, I know my brother had that up on the list. And I really grown to love this song more and more. And of course, the bass and that. I'm still trying to figure out. And I was actually doing some reading this morning again, which I've done before. Like, did Gene really play bass on that, or was that Ace? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's Ace Frehley. It's not really firmly established, but if you really pay attention, it's Ace Frehley, because all you got to do is listen to his solo record and then listen to that one. You hear the picking style. You hear the some of the patterns that he's doing. It's Ace Frehley. Yeah. That's at least my opinion.
Nice.
And the extended version at the end when he really goes,
yeah. Exactly. Like, how could you not love the extended mix? You get more bass.
Yeah. Plus, it's the only
heavy bass.
Heavy bass. Plus, it's the only track that Peter played on Dynasty. So that's
true.
That's cool. So that's my number 7. And number 6, again, 78 solo album. Brother had this one on his list. You Matter to Me. Again, those memories of that record, and I could probably have listed more of the 78 solo albums, ironically, but yeah, still that song gets me, thoroughly though. Just that synthesizer. I know it's kind of very, late 70s, but it's great. It's a great pop song. And so what my brother said before, I think that if it wasn't Kiss or Kiss member, that certainly could have been a hit. But
Agreed.
We all know how the radio stations work back then with that band. Yeah, exactly.
True.
At number 5, I have Nothing to Lose. Obviously,
nice little sneakers.
Sneaky
choice there.
Yeah,
I like that.
I mean, obviously, Pete does the choruses on that song.
Yeah.
And it's just as a song or as a whole. I mean, I know he only does part of it, but when I'm, you set the rules, you set the parameters. So according to your parameter, I was like, I got to definitely include this one.
Valid.
No problems with that.
And number 4, I have Strange Ways. Again, this is a song that I know that Ace will play, or Ace plays with Peter or whatever. It's such a great heavy, track. If that was like that could have been like a Sabbath song just based on just the sound, I mean, you think about that. You think about all the Kiss songs that were written, especially around that time, that was 74. What sounds that could have been close to a Sabbath kind of song, and like its darkness, and especially with that record, So love the vocal on that. Just great. Love the guitar solo on that. It's just great.
Absolutely. Backwards guitar solo.
Yeah, it's awesome. And number 3, of course, A Hard Luck Woman. Still love this song. This is really where it starts to get tough for me, but Hard Luck Woman.
I actually thought you might have that number one on your list.
Well, yeah, again, I could have interchanged any of these, quite honestly, and the reason why, when I'm finished with the three, I'll tell you why I chose it in this order. But Hard Luck Woman, I mean, we talked about Paul doing a vocal on it. Let's not forget, when Garth Brooks did a version of it, was great in my opinion. Just look on the internets on YouTube for his version, or when they did it live on, I think it was Letterman. Was it Letterman or Leno? I don't know.
I think it was good.
I think it was Letterman.
I think it was Letterman, yeah. But now you have me pausing.
They were on both shows, though, I think.
Yeah.
Leno, I think, was 96. I don't remember. I don't know. It's too many years ago. But
it's kind of cool.
They did it on a late night TV show, yes.
It's kind of cool because you could see like Gene's totally in revenge mode. You know what I mean? Or Revengy, as if we like to call it. They got a fiddle player, girl playing fiddle, which is kind of cool, which adds that top harmony that's not on the record, which is kind of cool. Well, not on the Kiss version. It may be on the Garth. I don't remember. So that's my number three. Number two is Black Diamond. Again, for all the reasons we've always said about this song. I mean, that could possibly, weighing it all in my head, could be a top 5 Kiss song. I'm just roughly thinking in my head. Okay. Right. Yep. And at number one, my brother didn't have it on his list, but I have it on his list. And I know it's an obvious choice, but it's Beth. And the reason being, of course, a great vocal, a great arrangement that Bob did. And I think more than that, it's the significance to Kiss's history, of what that really did for Kiss, as kind of propelling them to the next level, getting them the recognition in the People's Choice Awards or whatever. But it made them, they were never commercial, but I think it made them even more so a brand name. And it also, because the track was so different, and we all know the story that it was the B-side, Detroit Rock City, and how the DJs flipped it over and whatever. So in its significance, and it's how different it is from any other Kiss song, especially at that particular moment in time, and maybe after that. I mean, I know they had ballads and stuff like that. It's just, if you're going to write the perfect ballad, in my opinion, and production, it is that. And it's the type of song that even without piano, if you played it acoustic guitar, it still really translates really, really well. So that's my top 10. So does it surprise you, or is it predictable?
No, it surprised me. First off, it surprised me that you put Tears on the list, right? I wasn't even sure how familiar are you with that album. So right off the top, that shocked me. No pun intended. I'm sorry, and I'm also surprised that neither one of you, and I'm not going to say if it's on my list or not, but neither one of you had Hooligan on your list. I'm surprised about that.
I'm never really like a huge fan of it's a good song. It's passable. It was never a huge favorite. It's like Baby Driver. I feel the same way about songs like Baby Driver.
Interesting.
It's passable. I listen to it, but I've never thought very highly of it overall as like this is an incredible song.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I wasn't sure, Vin. I thought you might have Hooligan somewhere like between 7 and 10 on your list.
Really?
Yeah. So once you put Tears in there, I said, all right, now I don't know where this is going. So we'll see. So, all righty. So I'll get to my list. So first, before I even start my countdown, Vin, I'll give you the good news. Right? This will be the first episode we record that there'll be no songs from Monsters on the list.
Oh, good.
Right, we did the Paul episode, we did the Gene episode. There was one from me, one from Billy, where a song from Monster was on the list. I guarantee you, nothing from Monster will be on my list.
You sure? He didn't make a background vocal appearance.
Pretty impossible. Yeah, he wasn't on it.
Exactly.
All right.
All right. So there'll be
he's not in the liner notes or something like that. They didn't give him credit.
No, nothing in the liner notes. No secret songwriting credits. So you'll be happy to know there'll be nothing from Monster on my list.
Okay. All right.
If people don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch the Paul Stanley and the Gene Simmons episodes, and then you'll get the reference. But all right, my number 10 song was actually different. I'll talk about it afterwards when I woke up this morning, and then I changed it out and I put this one in. So my number 10 song is By Myself from the Out of Control album. I remember getting that album. Peter was the first original Kiss member to leave the band. and Putting the Needle on the Record. And that's the first song by myself. And it just so resonated with me as a kid that here it is. This guy is no longer a member of Kiss. He's now a solo artist. And it's a song I still love. I still think it's really cool. And it was a perfect way for me to start his first solo album outside of Kiss. So I was like, I was on the fence with a couple of these songs. What do I put in number 10? And I woke up this morning. I said, nah, By Myself is going to go number 10 because I remember as a kid how that song totally resonated with me just because he was now by himself. So number 10, By Myself.
Can I ask you a quick question before you go?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Were you aware that he was going to be on the Tom Snyder show to promote that record?
No, I didn't know about that for easily 5 or 6 years after the fact.
I wish there were clearer footage of that, because anytime you find it, it always looks awful. But I just
I thought more recently I found a decent copy. If I could find it again, I'll shoot it over to you.
Okay.
But yeah, to me that whole time period is very fascinating.
Because not even a year since they had been on the show for Halloween with the infamous, Ace Frehley and Peter getting blasted on the set.
Yep.
So I always found that appearance very interesting when he was on to promote the record. And, as soon as Tom's about to introduce him, what do you hear? You're By Myself.
Exactly.
I was just wondering if you knew about that and stayed up to watch it back then.
Not at all. Nope. Didn't have a clue.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wish I did, because then I might have a good copy or whatever, but no, I didn't. So anyway, so that's my number 10 song, By Myself. Number 9 is a song that both of you guys had on your list, and I knew you would, from the 78 solo album, You Matter to Me, right? So that's a song, like we all said. And Vin, I think when we saw Peter Criss earlier this year, he only did like 3 or 4 songs that night, and You Matter to Me was one of them, right? If I remember right. Yeah. So it's a fun song. Pete, I was busting your chops out, boogieing in the room. And but as soon as it starts, it makes me just want to boogie. It's like, and like you guys both said, this could have been a hit for some. Exactly. Yeah. So it's just a fun song. And I'm so glad Peter did it when we saw him earlier this year. He did it when I saw him back in whatever that was, 2017, 18, whatever. So just a fun song. So that's my number 9, You Matter to Me. Number 8, you guys both had this on your list, but I gave this song a few demerits on my Peter Criss list, and I'll tell you why. So my number 8 song is Black Diamond. Okay. And why is it number 8 and not lower down on my list? Right. So on my Stanley list, it was, I think, number 1, if I remember right. As much as this might be my favorite Kiss song, I think of Black Diamond and I think of Peter Criss first, but then I also think of Eric Carr and currently Eric Singer singing it. And it's become just such a Kiss song. And yes, Peter Criss is the original vocalist on it, sang it first, and nothing could ever change that. But I gave it a few demerits because I'm just as happy when Eric Carr sang it and just as happy when Eric Singer sings it. So I said, in terms of Peter Criss, I'm going to put it number 8. But if you're asking me my favorite Kiss song, it might be my all-time favorite Kiss song.
I think
very bad excuse, by the way.
No, you see, your brother agrees with me. He's my brother. Your brother said it's good, so you're booted off. Sorry, Ben. Goodbye. I'm kidding. No, I had a feeling that you might
liberal.
No, Vin, I had a feeling you might disagree with that comment, but it's just the way I felt.
Okay, you're allowed to move on. I'll give you the.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you. Mike, it's your show.
Yeah, it's your show. You can proceed on your show.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Ben. So my next one, my number 7 song, is a song, Pete, you mentioned a few moments ago, and I'll say I strongly disagree with your opinion of it being just an average song. And that's from Rock and Roll Over, Baby Driver. I happen to love that song. I love the vocal. It's a bit aggressive. It's a harder rock song. I get thoroughly thrilled when I hear Baby Driver. I probably put it like one of my top 5 songs on that album, which is maybe my favorite Kiss album. So I knew Baby Driver absolutely was going to be on my list. So I was saddened that it wasn't on either of your lists. But number 7 on mine, Baby Driver.
It wouldn't be too far away from my top 10. It is, it's a quality Peter Criss track. If it was like top 20, it'd probably be like around like 15 or so. So yeah,
fair enough.
Probably be somewhere.
Fair enough. Well, number 7 on my list. Number 6, I think, Vin, I know you had it, Pete. I don't remember if it was on your list or not. Number 6 is Vin. You said we made fun of singing this song growing up as a kid, but it is still a fun song, and that's Mainline.
Yeah.
It's just, and roll. Well, not rock and roll. Hotter Than Hell is also one of my favorite Kiss albums. Mainline to me is not a throwaway track in any shape, matter, or form. Just a fun song. Mm-hmm. Actually, I wish Peter did perform it. You were asking me before. Peter performed it. I wish he had, because it's a good song. I like it. Number 6, Mainline. All right, number 5 is where I lose the two of you for a moment. Okay. I know neither one of you listed anything from his 94 solo album. He has the full album that he put out and the EP. And if I remember right, this song was on both. It's definitely on the album, but it's a ballad called Good Times, which I happen to think is a great song. If you don't listen to that album, go check it out. Maybe, Pete, this will get you to open up the album to listen to it.
Yeah, maybe I'll open it up today.
Yeah, I happen to think the song Good Times is an excellent, excellent, excellent song. And I forgot, I was talking with somebody online recently, and they're like, my favorite Peter Criss song is Good Times. I'm like, wow, somebody else likes it besides me. So as the viewers are watching this, there's going to be me and this one other person.
You sure they weren't listening to the Chic version?
They could have been.
Yeah,
who knows? Who knows? But again, when I was putting my list together, there was no doubt that one was going to be on my list and be somewhere middle of the pack of my list because I just think it's a great song. So, and I think that album actually is pretty good. So Pete, I don't know, when the last time was that you actually even listened to it. I know you said you didn't open it, but yeah, but the album, I think, and I listened to it recently, and there's a bunch of decent tracks on that. I'm not going to put it up there with the 78 album. Certainly not even as good as Out of Control, but it's a solid album. If people watching and listening, if you haven't listened to it or ever, check it out. I think it's a good album. All right. Number 4 on my list. Ben, you had it on yours also. It's classic. It's got to be on. Pete, I'm sorry. I got Beth on my list also. Number 4.
God damn, I'm the only one who didn't put it on my list.
Yeah. Look, I get not putting it on the list. I totally get not putting it on the list. But if you were to ask me, now this is my personal top 10, but if you were to ask me what song signifies Peter Criss the most, the first thought that comes to my mind is Beth. Right. So I had to include it. Yeah,
that's definitely the truth for sure.
Right. And I actually do like the song. I love that they did it on the Halloween special back in '76, and that Pete's playing the piano over there. And I just think it's kind of cool. So number 4 for me was Beth. All right, my top 3 now. Pete, I think this one was on your list also. To me, it's the best song off his 78 solo album, which I happen to like quite a bit. But my number 3 song, I Can't Stop the Rain, just a friggin' monster song. Great. When I saw him at that solo show in New York in the, 5-6 years ago, it's what he opened up with. And he was so emotional. He butchered the first verse. He went into the chorus too early. It was a friggin' train wreck. And it didn't matter to me one bit. I'm like, I'm freaking seeing Peter Criss live and he's performing I Can't Stop the Rain. Doesn't get much better than this. I just absolutely love that song. Pete, I was so happy to hear it was on your list also.
It's another one. It's another one where Poncia, he had those orchestral arrangements in there in the background. It's just perfect.
Yeah, it's really a freaking great song. So I was happy somebody else had it on their list besides me. So my number 3, I Can't Stop the Rain.
It has like that Elton John feel to it too.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. So then
guitar solos.
Yeah. No, look.
Is Lukather on that song, Vin?
Ben?
I Can't Stop the Rain? Does Lukather play on I Can't Stop the Rain? He plays on that record. Is he on I Can't Stop the Rain? Do you know?
I'm not sure about that one.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
No. Well, I'm counting down my last 2. You could do the homework and look it up, right?
I'm looking it up.
There you go. Yeah. So my number 2 song was, shockingly, a song that was on both of your guys' lists. Vin, you probably know where I'm going with this now. I put Tears as my number 2 song, and I forget which one of you guys mentioned this, that,
you both had it 8. Yeah.
You both had it 8, but one of you guys mentioned that you like it better than the John Waite version. I 100% agree with that. To me, Vinny's recorded a version that's not released. John Waite's recorded a version that was a hit single. Peter Criss has got the definitive version. I absolutely love this song. I've said before that when it comes to Vinnie Vincent, I love his melodic songwriting. And this is just friggin', it's an amazing song to me. Absolutely amazing. In some thoughts, I actually said, but I'd list this as number 1 because that's how much I love it. But I said, nah, my number 1 has to be the song I have here. But I absolutely love Tears. I thought I was going to be the only one with the song on the list. So the fact that both of you put it on, I'm like, yes, all right, good. Some love for the song Tears. I think it's a friggin' monster song. And Vin, Pete, you were talking about the songwriting on it. I remember when I got this out, because I got the album in '82. I at first did not make the connection that this was Vinnie Vincent because the album does say Vincent Cusano.
It says Vinnie Cusano, right?
Right, exactly. And I did not make the connection early on when I was like 12 years old that was Vinnie Vincent. So just a freaking great song. I wish Peter would have performed that live somewhere. I'm not surprised he didn't, but I wish he had, because I love his version of the song. Love it. And then that leaves my number one. Again, I think you both had this on your list. Hard Luck Woman is just, I think Peter just does an amazing performance on this. It's the song, I know it's written by Paul, but it's so Peter Criss to me, the song. You know, we know the story. Paul was writing a song for Rod Stewart. Who knows if that's really true or not. And then Peter heard it and said, "Hey, I could sing this song." And
quit the band if I don't get to sing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it went down that way, kudos to Peter for recognizing it, because it really is the perfect song for his voice. Just a freaking amazing song. So Hard Luck Woman is my number one Peter Criss song. So there you have my top 10 list. Now I want to go through, Pete, you said you had a couple of songs, and Vin, I know you do as well, so do I, that just missed the cut. So I'm kind of curious, Pete, which songs for you just missed the cut?
Well, I actually did kind of forget about Hard Luck Woman. So I was like, well, wait a minute. I got to include Hard Luck Woman in my list.
Right.
So at one point I had Let Go from Out of Control on my list.
Ooh, wow. Nice.
So right now my list only has one track from Out of Control.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, I got that wrong. Probably edit that out. At one point, edit her out. At one point, I had Let Go on my list from Let Me Rock You.
Let Me Rock You.
The
I knew
opening track.
Yep.
But then I was like, oh wait, I got to include Hard Luck Woman on this list. I can't leave that off. So I just thought, as one of those album openers, it has that full-fledged 80s sound in effect. Yep. Like in the early 80s, like I could picture some other pop artist recording that song, and it probably would have been a big hit.
Agreed.
It's just, it's a good album opener. So I had that. I guess that would probably be my number 11, along with the rest of Peter's stuff from his post Kiss solo album career.
Nice.
But that was really it. I don't think I really had any other tracks that were in the list, and then I had to take out because I wanted to put in something else.
Fair enough. What do you think of his cover of Jealous Guy?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's like his cover of You Better Run. It's like, which one are people going to prefer more? One that he recorded, or, the one that became a hit for Pat Benatar?
Right.
My brother's going to say the one by Pat Benatar, of course.
But I think Peter does a great version of the song too.
Yeah, he does. He does a great version of the song. And I've never heard the original either.
Yeah. I only did in recent years. To me, at first, that was a Peter Criss song. Then it became a Pat Benatar song.
Yeah, but Peter's version of Jealous Guy is pretty good. It's not better than John Lennon's version, but it's pretty good. Agreed.
Vin, what songs just missed the cut for you?
Well, my number 11 was I Can't Stop the Rain, and I could really go back and forth with that with Mainline. Totally different songs, obviously. Yep. Probably as overall better written and all the other stuff that goes along. I Can't Stop the Rain is probably a better song.
Yep.
So that's the one that tugs at me with number 10 and 11. But some of the other ones I had was Getaway, Baby Driver, I'm Gonna Love You, which is the album opener from the first, which is still, say it ad nauseum. I just, can totally relate to that first solo album.
Yep.
Number 15, I have Words.
Wow.
Which,
okay.
See, you don't think I listened to the other. See. Yeah. So, and the song you just mentioned, Jealous Guy, because I think he does a great version of that.
Yeah. Wow.
And obviously, I think they were trying to capitalize, if you want to say that. I think that was 82. Lennon died in 80, unfortunately. So the producers might have said, "Hey, why don't we do a tribute to Lennon?" And I think that's a great version. It's kind of very true to the original. They didn't really try to change it. Even like the delay they got on his vocals, very close to like what they did for Lennon. So
yep.
So yeah, I had about 16 songs. So there definitely was some spillage.
Yeah, Pete's going to appreciate my songs that just missed. And that's why I was so happy, Pete, when you were reading through your list, because it killed me to leave some of these off. Here's some of the songs that I just missed having on my list. Easy Thing, right? So you had that on your list. Feel Like Letting Go. Like when you started your list, I'm like, thank you, Pete. You must be reading off my just missed list. I also had My Life from the Out of Control album on my just missed list. There's Nothing Better. and I'm Gonna Love You and Strange Ways. Those are the songs that to me were on my list. And Strange Ways was the one that was on my list when I woke up this morning, right before we started recording. It was in my number 10 spot. And By Myself was on my just missed list. And I was like, but By Myself, I just remember as a kid listening to that. And then Strange Ways, I'm like, I associate that more with Ace and the 10,000 different bass players that have been in his band that sing the song. So I was like,
that's a low estimate, by the way.
It's a low estimate. That's right.
Yeah.
So I was like, Peter does a great vocal, like you guys said on it, but I'm like, do I really associate that as a top 10 Peter Criss song? And I went back and forth and I said, well, which one's more of a Peter Criss song to me, Strange Ways or By Myself? And I said, well, By Myself is more of a Peter Criss song. And that's why I decided to take Strange Ways out and put By Myself in. But I could have gone really either way on that. But I was happy, Pete, when you had Easy Thing and Feel Like Letting Go, because I wanted to have both of those songs on. Those might have been, if Strange Ways is going to be 11, those probably would have been 12 and 13 on my list. And it saddened me to not have them on my list because I like both songs a lot. And when you had them, I'm like, good. At least there's representation for those songs somewhere. So those are my just miss.
On a side note, what is a heavier song from Hotter Than Hell, Strange Ways or Parasite?
Wow, that's a good question.
That's a very good question.
I know the tempos are different, but in pure heaviness, like would you say is a heavier song?
I think it's gonna be Parasite, because just from the Alive 1 version, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that version for me.
Yeah.
So I would say Parasite.
Boy. At first I was saying Parasite, then I'm like, but Strange Ways is like, so I hate to use this word grungy feeling, but it has like this dirty, which song is better? Parasite by a mile to me. I could listen to the Alive version of Parasite every single day for the rest of my life and never get sick of it. It's one of my favorite songs. But I'm
setting goals.
Setting goals. Yeah, that's right. Setting goals. I was listening to that song every day of my life. But
and what? Okay, so then what is the absolute worst Peter Criss song to the panel here? Is everybody going to say I finally found my way?
Vin knows I do not like that song, and look, I'm going to blame Stanley for that one. But that song is not good to me.
I would say that one only because it was just like, it was so obvious what they were trying to do, and it's like,
exactly.
Come on, give me a fucking break. Like, you could have given him like a rocking song. You didn't have to paint him in the corner of, okay, Peter's going to have the ballad on the album.
Yeah, and I don't like the way it sounds with him and Paul singing together. I just
So here's my opinion. I never hated that song, not even near as much as you hated it, Mike. But, I'm going to step out of it for a little bit. If I had written the song, and forget about how contrite or whatever the word is, like just trying so hard to give Peter a ballad to sing, just on the sheer merits of the songwriting, of the melody lines, of how it's put together by Bob and the string section part, whatever. Not Bob. Did Bob? No, that was.
I think Bob did work on that one.
Did he?
I think he was involved in that
one. But was that a Fairbairn? Who produced that?
Fairbairn, Fairbairn produced it, but I think Ezrin was involved in that particular track.
Yeah. So if it was me who wrote the song, I'd be incredibly proud of writing that song, if not for the reasons that we're stating. So in my opinion, I don't think it's a badly written song. It's just, I can't disagree with what you guys feel about that part when Paul and Peter singing together. It's like, what I mean?
I wonder how I'd feel if Stanley sang that song, because I just don't think that's a good song to showcase Peter's voice.
Well, my point being is, like, how far of it is really from Every Time I Look at You or something like that. I mean, it's kind of in the same. Paul wrote that. What I mean? It's kind of So, but that's just my mind. That's just.
I think it's a fair rebuttal. And look, the honesty is, if I'm saying what's my least favorite Peter Criss song, it's going to be probably something from that All for One album or One for All, whatever it's called. The reality is I've never been able to go through that album front to back in one sitting. So me to even comment on any of the songs, that saddens me to say that, because I really do like the 1980, the 1982, and then the mid 90s stuff that Peter did. But that one album just doesn't connect with me. And I don't mind ballads, but there's just something about that album that does not connect with me at all.
Just out of history, and you guys are probably more the historians on a lot of this stuff. When Peter left the band, and then they came out with Out of Control, which came out in, was that
1980?
80?
1980.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story behind how hard they actually tried to promote that record? Really, was there some sort of, okay, he's out of Kiss now, we're not going to really push this because he left Kiss? Was there any sort of, do you know any history on that or any data to, like, was it really promoted? I mean, even the record cover, the album cover, I guess he couldn't use the makeup or whatever, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
even that, like, you look at the if you didn't really look close enough, would you even know this was the guy in Kiss? You had no idea. So even from his presentation, I don't think it was presented very well as like trying to get this guy launched in his solo career. So
Agreed.
I really feel like he was never really given a chance by Casablanca to really get, because you guys are right. When you're reading off your songs, there are some good meat and potatoes on those two records. Yeah. Maybe people just think, oh, those were just crap records, but really, when you dig in, there's a lot of good stuff on those records. So,
well, I'll go backwards. Let Me Rock You wasn't even released in America at the time,
right?
Because
right.
It was,
I'll never understand that.
Me neither.
There was no reason why they couldn't have, released it on at least a small run at first to see how it would do.
Agreed.
I don't understand that. It's only a couple of years removed from 1980. I know Kiss were not, quote unquote cool by that point.
Right.
Which, I mean, I know I was, 6 years old at that time, so I wouldn't have understood regardless.
Right.
I thought Kiss was the greatest thing on the planet for me at that point.
Exactly.
Because I had no idea what was going on in the real world.
Right.
But did it have anything to do with Casablanca and the fact that, they soon thereafter was bought by Polygram or whatever there was, Resident Polygram? Or
yeah, I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Polygram, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that has something to do with it. If you ask Peter Criss, I know he's commented that he thinks Kiss held back the Out of Control record. Right. They sabotaged it. And look, who knows what went on behind the scenes, but is it possible? Maybe. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, but I think Casablanca was also in, they were in that transition period. And, I would say at that point, probably, half in shambles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what were they really promoting at that point in 1980, 1981?
Well,
disco was, right, kind of teetering on, mainstream and fading away. And I know they're Casablanca is the label, if I'm not mistaken, that released Funky Town in like 1980, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good point, because what had happened was their biggest artists, Donna Summer, the Village People, Kiss, maybe off the top of my head might be the top three as far as record sales and popularity. By 80, 81, all those artists were not churning out anything really hits or anything like that. The disco thing, everyone was down on disco basically by 80, the big backlash with the Bee Gees. And that's why, the Bee Gees, because of all the backlash they got unfairly, in my opinion, they started writing hit songs for others, the countless amount of hits they wrote. They said, all right, if we're going to get this backlash, we're going to write some songs for others and still be successful. But I think a lot of it had to do with maybe, you cost a lot of money. And especially back then, there's a lot of money was being spent, right, for studio time and excess and everything else.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe they just, with the Peter Criss thing, I certainly do think that Kiss probably was getting in somebody's ears, because you had to probably feel like, I mean, just think about being in, the biggest band at one time, right? And it's a different type of thing because you got guys with makeup. There's a certain identity. Right. So now you're going to lose that. And how's that going to really change, how people perceive the band and all that. So
sure.
I don't know. And as we know, there are some members that could be a little vindictive in that band. I'm not going to mention any names.
Just a little
bit.
Just a little.
Yeah. So,
oh, man. Well, what I want to do to close this episode, and something that we've done with the Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons episodes as well, is I want to try to put together our cumulative top 10 lists. And what I normally do with this one, and Pete, you're gonna have to open up the laptop again, sorry, probably, but what I do is I take each of our top 10 lists, and the song that is 10th on your list gets 1 point, the song that's 9th on your list gets 2 points,
et cetera, et cetera,
et cetera, et cetera. And then what I'm going to do is tally up the total points for all the songs across all three of our lists and see which 10 songs came up with the most points, so that this way we come up with our cumulative, all three of us, top 10 Peter Criss songs list. So What we'll do is I will break away from this right now. With this way, people who are watching don't have to see me type into an Excel spreadsheet because that'd be pretty freaking boring. And then we'll come back and we'll count down our cumulative top 10 list. So
and
stay tuned, people.
This is usually when I go get my pretzel.
This is when you go get pretzels, exactly. So, all right, stay tuned, everybody. We're coming right back with our top 10 cumulative Peter Criss songs. All righty, everybody, we are back. We have tabulated the results of the official cumulative Peter Criss top 10 songs. So I'm just going to read them off. We actually had a tie for the 10th spot.
All parents have been tallied.
The parents have been tallied. I have to pronounce it right, Pete. The parents have been tallied.
Parents.
Coming in tied at the number 10 spot is Nothing to Lose, Good Times, and Mainline. Actually all tied at number 10.
Wow.
So we'll list those as 8, 9, and 10, all accumulating the same number of points. Mainline, though, was on 2 of the 3 of our lists. Vin, you had it as your number 10 song. If it was number 9 or better, it would have been higher up on the list. But those were tied in that last spot over there. So we'll call those 11, 10, and 9 spots over there, okay? Then coming up next was Dirty Living on both of your guys' lists, held back only by my ignorance of not putting it on my list, but that just I never loved. And Peter, I loved hearing you talking about that. You like the extended version, but to me, there's so many better Peter Criss. I knew it was going to be on your guys' list, but I don't know. I just never loved it. I held it back. I'm sorry, guys. I held it back. Actually, these were tied also. Dirty Living and the next 2 were all tied. So I Can't Stop the Rain also, and then You Matter to Me also had 13 points, all 3 of them. You Matter to Me was the first song on the list here on this countdown cumulative that was on all 3 of our lists. So there you have it. I Can't Stop the Rain, held back by Vin's ignorance. Although, Vin, you did say you had it 11th on your list.
Yeah.
So all right, I'll let that slide. So let's see, what are we up to right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're up to the number 5 songs, which was Strange Ways on both of your lists, held back only by my ignorance, saying that, I don't associate that as much with Peter Criss as you guys do. Number 4 was Tears on all 3 of our lists, surprisingly for me, and I'm very happy to hear that. Beth came in at number 3, even though Pete refused to put it on his list. It still came in overall at number 3.
Prevented it from hitting number 1.
That's it. Yeah. You probably did. Yes, you probably did. But
sorry.
But I think that's one of the things that's cool about doing this is that everybody has a different point of view, and I totally understood, Pete, why you left it off your list. But it did come in number 3 overall. Number 2 was Black Diamond. Clearly would have been number 1 if I didn't discount the fact that both Eric Singer and Eric Carr has also sang it in concert. But Black Diamond came in at number 2, 22 points, a healthy lead ahead of Beth with 17 points. And then number 1 was the song that was on all 3 of our lists, Hard Luck Woman with 25 points. It's a very nice tally there. I think, Vin, this is the 3rd episode we've done. There's only been 1 song that accumulated more total points on our final list here than Hard Luck Woman, and we'll let the people go back and watch those other 2 episodes to figure out which song accumulated more points than Hard Luck Woman, but clearly on all 3 of our lists, clearly very high up on both of our lists, so no surprise that Hard Luck Woman was our cumulative number 1 song there. So there you have it, our cumulative top 10 Peter Criss songs. To me, you can't go wrong with any of those songs. Vin, I was saying to you before, I love that you included Nothing to Lose as like a sleeper pick there, because I think what Peter brings to that song is great. So I think this is a lot of fun. Good list on all of our side. And, as I always say, as we wrap these things up, I'll be curious to see, as people watch and listen, which of our 3 lists that people like best. Of course, the right answer is mine. Everybody knows that, but you're allowed to choose Pete. You're allowed to choose Pete. You're allowed to choose Vin. I will not be offended. My feelings won't be hurt, but the right answer is mine. Yes, just so everybody knows. And then I'll be curious to see what other people say their top 10 lists are, because, again, we have the 15, 20 songs on our list cumulative altogether. And there was a bunch of songs that we just missed. So, Vin's checking his watch. He's like, come on, Brunn, wrap this up. Let's go.
Not what I'm thinking.
No, I know that. But I'll be curious to see what other people's top 10 lists are. And You know what? And Pete, I'm going to single you out here for a moment. I'm curious to see if other people agree with you to leave Beth off the list. I bet you're going to have at least a handful of people that also, just like you, say they're sick and tired of Beth. They're not putting it on their list. But I'll be curious to see just how many people do that.
Hmm?
Yeah, I'd be curious too. I definitely agree. I definitely think there's going to be some people that are going to, think the same way. Like, of course, it's a great song. Of course, we all love Beth as Kiss fans.
Right.
Not going to deny that. But for my personal list, I can keep it off just because it's so, that word that I've heard used very often on podcasts. It's very ubiquitous.
Ooh,
So,
big word
wow.
there.
Big
Let me
word.
get my dictionary out.
That's a big word.
Like gymnasium. It's a big word like gymnasium.
But it's true. Like for Kiss, obviously, it's a great song.
Yes.
But yeah, I do think some people might share my sentiment in that we got to focus and highlight other songs. And I figured one of Peter's songs from his other post-Kiss solo albums should be featured more than Beth.
Well, I love that you did that, and I'm looking forward to seeing other people's comments. Anything else about Peter we want to say before we wrap this up? You're gonna go put the makeup on, Vin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can see if I can go back to 1978 if possible. See if
very good.
I got the DeLorean parked out front, so I got Doc in there. He's calibrating it through the car. So
very good. All right. Well, you go hit your 88 miles per hour, and we'll wrap this up. As always, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Pete, thanks for joining. This has been a blast. Hopefully, I won't wait another 3 years to have you back on. And Vin is
by the way, 3 is that Peter's lucky number, as it is mine.
Ooh,
3.
Very good point. Good parent. But Vin, as always, thanks for joining. And
no problem.
If you haven't watched the Paul Stanley countdowns and the Gene Simmons countdowns, go check those out. Also coming out in the next few days will be the Ace Frehley countdown. As always, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll close with
Double Ringo.
Double Ringo. He's like, what are you guys doing? Double Ringo.
Do I got to do this too? Like,
yeah.
You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Flying Ringos. It's anything
I did the rocking.
Yeah.
It's
like he's on stage singing.
Yes, exactly. All righty, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Take it easy, everybody.
Take care. Later.
Bye.
All righty. There you have it. I'd like to thank Peter and Vincent LaRusso for joining me and counting down our individual top 10 Peter Criss songs. That was a lot of fun. We look forward to hearing your comments and reading and seeing your comments about what you think your top 10 Peter Criss songs are and which one of our lists you like the best. As is always the case with this, there's no right or wrong answers, so we look forward to seeing your comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.